Agencies across the state of Utah are making the move to encrypt police scanners. Why those agencies are making what they call a difficult decision, and those that are against the process entirely.
Coming up, we'll sit down with a family who's looking for answers after their brother died in an industrial accident.
After the snow, now we have the cold, but a nice warm up on the way. How high do temperatures get? I'll let you know in the forecast.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
1600 speedy update.
It's how we in the news business often get our information, listening to police, fire, and medical calls. We find what's happening in your community and bring you the information you need to hear.
Fire 2.
Now, a new push could take away the ability to hear these radio calls. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Evans. As Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph explains, agencies say it's to protect the public, but others disagree.
Sunday night, Fox 13 News reporter Avery Klenowski got word of a person who was hit by a car in West Valley.
A very difficult morning for commuters.
Tuesday morning, a deadly rollover causing major delays had Fox 13 News reporter Scott McCain rushing to the scene.
New video from the Tooele Police Department.
And most people remember the semi-truck crash on Main Street in Tooele.
Medic Squad 6 at 1550.
These are just a few of the hundreds of stories we hear every day.
There's no active fighting here.
On police scanners. A nationwide effort is underway to upgrade police scanners to something called Project 25 or P25. It means that agencies can talk to each other and receive clear transmissions. But some in the state of Utah are using P25 as an opportunity to encrypt their radios and shut everyone out.
You know, it's not just journalists who would be harmed by this action, it's the general public. If I hear a loud explosion near my home and I happen to be listening to a police scanner, if I can't hear that information, I don't know whether I'm in danger or not.
Dan Shelley is the president of the Radio Television Digital News Association, the largest organization devoted to broadcast and digital journalism in the country.
Departments, generally speaking, have gone out of their way to become less transparent about what they're doing in real time. Encrypting police dispatch channels is just one symptom of the larger problem.
Agencies from New York to California have encrypted with battles being fought in almost every state over this topic.
It's been a busy 24 hours for Denver police.
For example, in Colorado, agencies encrypted. Then a law was passed in 2021 to unencrypt certain channels for the media. But still today, some agencies refuse to cooperate. But here in Utah, the map is starting to take shape. Washington County became the first county in Utah to encrypt their scanners last month. We also know that Beaver, Cache, Kane, Carbon, Box Elder, Weber, and Salt Lake counties are considering either totally or partially encrypting their scanners as well. But this map could change drastically as agencies have till the end of the year to decide what they want to do. But one agency we do know that is completely encrypting their scanners, the largest police agency in Utah, is the Salt Lake City Police Department.
We certainly recognize that we had to balance and navigate this issue, this very difficult issue, as best we can.
Salt Lake City Police spokesperson Brent Weisberg says for Salt Lake and others, the risk of transmitting sensitive information is what led to the decision.
So as we looked at this technology, we decided that it is our responsibility as a public safety agency to make sure that we are protecting that personal identifiable information.
Those law enforcement agencies will now be responsible for the information flow, something Shelley,
in a word, baloney,
doesn't agree with.
I have no reason not to trust the Salt Lake City Police Department, but I will say this. If they're going to great lengths to hide some of their real-time dispatch radio channels, that there's no law saying they have to encrypt, then why are they encrypting?
A solution could be to encrypt some of the channels that are meant for tactical operations or for sensitive information, which is actually the way scanners already work.
Without revealing the personally identifiable information of victims or innocent civilians not suspected of crimes. Law enforcement agencies have been able to do that for decades. Why now all of a sudden, whoops, We're going to take this access away from the public.
Was that a discussion at all?
Certainly, it was. So one of the things that we looked at was, should we encrypt just our tactical channels? We still recognize that on our main channels, though, that personal identifiable information is still going out in real time. It doesn't make sense for an officer, when seconds matter, to get information relayed to each other. They don't have the ability to do channel switching.
The Salt Lake City Police Department pledges without access to police scanners, they will remain transparent and respond to all media requests.
When there is information that we can verify, that release that information, we absolutely will.
But Shelley thinks that's not enough.
Police officers are not qualified to determine what is news and what is not news. That is the job of the public. That is the job of journalists.
And bottom line, this will impact the public and how they find out their information.
We recognize that this is certainly going to be a change for media. It's going to be a change for our community members, but our commitment at the Salt Lake City Police Department remains unchanged.
The presumption should always fall on openness and transparency, not on secrecy and opaqueness. What do they have to hide?
So now our job at Fox 13 is going to become even more reliant on you, the viewer. So please take a moment to write this down. Our email is news@fox13now.com, and our phone number is 801-536-1313. Call or email us anytime, day or night, if you see something in your community so we can get you the information you need. And of course, we're going to continue to follow this as agencies decide what they're going to do over the next couple of months and continue to advocate for you, the viewer. Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
We have a Fox 13 News Driven to Change update. A driver has pleaded guilty in the deaths of 2 people in an Eagle Mountain road rage crash last year. Today, 31-year-old Peterson Drew Matheson pleaded guilty to 2 second-degree felony manslaughter charges. He was the other driver involved in a head-on crash that killed Rodney Salm and Michaela Himmelberger in June of 2023. Matheson's sentencing is scheduled for January 6th. He faces 1 to 15 years in prison plus a $10,000 fine. If you have a Utah Driven to Change tip, story, or a solution to some of the issues you might see on Utah roads, scan the QR code on your screen right now to get to our website where you can fill out a form. Fox 13 News will have content all week long focused on making Utah's roads safer. And speaking of that, tomorrow night I'll introduce you to a man who has given a lot of thought to how to keep wrong-way drivers from entering the freeway. You'll meet him and hear his pitch to UDOT's John Gleason. That's tomorrow night's Driven to Change report, only on Fox 13 News at 9. Last month, Fox 13 News reported on the death of Chris Kilpack, who died in an industrial accident in Salt Lake City when a 2,000-pound log landed on him. Tonight, for the first time, we're hearing from his family. As Fox 13 News reporter Avery Klenowski shows us, they're still hoping for answers.
How exactly did it happen? In what way? Is what I'm being told the truth? Is that really the way it happened? Or was it something else?
Family members are in shock after losing their loved one in late October.
We just thought maybe they were wrong. Maybe he was okay. We had to have sheriffs come explain to my mom that my brother had passed away because she didn't want to believe that it had happened.
Chris Kilpack leaves behind 2 daughters and 7 siblings.
He was the heart of the family, so it was really sad. It was almost like you couldn't breathe, you couldn't get air.
On October 25th, Kilpack was finishing up his tree service job when he was involved in a deadly incident.
He got out of the vehicle. A 2,000-pound log came out when he undid the strap and hit him in the head and then landed on top of him and killed him.
One of his sisters, Mary Babinchek, shared that her brother's employer and the business site of the incident have not provided help.
He was working for South Valley Tree. And when they were unloading the load of trees, he was at the Diamond Tree Service lot.
Fox 13 called and emailed both businesses and have not heard back at this time.
I feel like we've lost the most important thing to us and that nobody cares. We're waiting for word from the OSHA investigation to find out what exactly happened, you know, if there's anybody at fault, if there was a safety issue.
Utah OSHA confirmed that the investigation is ongoing. While the family continues to wait for answers, they're commemorating how special he was.
If you needed to laugh, he would make you laugh. If you needed somebody to talk to, he was there. He would give you anything, including the shirt off of his back.
Reminding people that tomorrow isn't promised.
To remember to tell the people that you love them. Make sure they know it. It makes a big difference.
In Salt Lake City, Avery Klinowski, Fox 13 News, Utah.
In Provo, an ambulance was involved in a crash this afternoon. It happened at Freedom and Cougar Boulevards at about 3:30 p.m. UHP says a Provo Fire Department ambulance was taking a patient to the hospital when another driver did not yield and T-boned the ambulance. 4 paramedics, the original patients, and the other driver were all hospitalized in serious condition. Black ice on I-15 may have led to a deadly rollover crash this morning. The Utah Highway Patrol says a 26-year-old man crossed the median, was thrown from his car, and died. Troopers closed southbound lanes near 400 South for about an hour during the morning commute. That is a tough way to get into weather, but we've got to be careful because black ice is going to be an issue from here on out. Correct?
It really is. So when these storms come rolling through, as we said, we're going to have some snow showers in the overnight hours. That's when we need to give ourselves extra time, prepare. That was a problem here this morning, but throughout the afternoon, we peeled away the clouds. We saw the sunshine. It was nice here for most of the afternoon, and we're going to be moving into a situation where weather will definitely be cooperating here, looking for the rest of the work week. But it was a cold one today. As you look at the highs, as we did find afternoon highs about 5 to 10 degrees below average. We only made our way up to the mid-30s today in Logan, 40s here along the Wasatch Front through central Utah, many locations in the upper 30s, and low 40s for your afternoon highs. We did get up into the low 50s in St. George, where right now temperatures quickly dropping as we've had a few clouds, but we're clearing out as we're going to be looking at temperatures getting down for many locations in the 20s and still some locations in the teens. We'll see maybe a few high clouds rolling through as we take a look at your satellite radar here across southern Utah. No activity from radar. We look upstream. Yeah, we might see a few high clouds, and that's about it. A chilly night for sure, but starting off tomorrow, we've got clear conditions, high pressure building in. We're warming up. We'll tell you how warm it'll get coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Breck. Coming up, paying tribute to a Utah trucking icon. We look back at the life and legacy of Eugene England. Fox 13 News has learned Gene England, the chairman emeritus of Utah-based trucking company C.R. England, has passed away at the age of 105. His son, who serves as the company's chairman, says Gene died peacefully last week. Gene England was a legend in the trucking industry. He was born in Plain City in 1919. In 1940, he married the love of his life, June. He soon went on to serve our country and earned a Bronze Star for his work in Okinawa, Japan during World War II. I had the honor of speaking with him for my 3 Questions segment 5 years ago. What was it that turned your key? What was it that, I got to keep doing this? I love doing this.
It was my dad that he showed me, hey, you can go out and do this. And he taught me how to sell product and deal with grocers and deal with the farmer to buy his product. And I learned those things, and I wanted to do it. And I think it might have been childhood abuse because I was so young. But what an opportunity it was for me to learn something that I like to do.
Gene's family says he leaves behind a legacy of integrity, hard work, and a deep commitment to those who keep our country moving. Funeral arrangements for Gene England have yet to be announced. A Utah County man has pleaded guilty to scamming about 130 investors. 27-year-old Cole Brimhall admitted to selling fraudulent investment contracts for e-commerce stores. Court documents show the investors believed it would be passive income, but most of the $4.9 million went to sales agents. Brimhall is scheduled to be sentenced in March. Sandy police need your help catching a copper thief. They say about 1,500 feet of wire was stolen from street lamps between 112th South and 114th South last night. If you have any information that can help, call Sandy Police. The Hardware Wildlife Management Area is welcoming Utahns to ride on a horse-drawn sleigh or wagon through hundreds of wild elk. The rides are offered on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays from December 6th through February 9th. Tickets are sold at the Hardware Wildlife Education Center and can only be bought in person on the day of your ride. New this year, Santa's Workshop will also be open on December 7th, 14th, and 21st. It's getting cold out there. Tonight's going to get cold, but we're supposed to warm up at some point, aren't we?
We are going to warm up. Moving towards the weekend, temperatures actually getting above average, where at least here along the Wasatch Front, we possibly could see temperatures getting close to 60 degrees. Of course, we've been depleting that snow that we got here this morning, where it was just a dusting, if you will, but it did pose problems on the roads. It didn't take much to really provide for some slick conditions here throughout the morning. But as we've been talking about, as this photo coming up on our Facebook page, we're getting rid of the storms and the snow, and we will be warming up. But you can see today's high temperatures well below average as we stand right now here along the Wasatch Front. Temperatures in the 30s here in Salt Lake City, upper 20s in Logan. Cold right now in Price here, temperature at 21, low 40s in St. George. Okay, here's what we're lining up. Yes, we're warming up. We'll have one cold night here for tonight. And then we're going to be staying dry up until the weekend. We might see a few clouds here and there, but all in all, we're avoiding the precipitation until the weekend. We've been mentioning this atmospheric river, the surge of moisture pushing through Northern California and the Pacific Northwest. It is going to have a major impact, kind of pulverizing precipitation, if you will. That moisture coming in, we've been talking about the precipitation and the rain and heavy rainfall that could produce some flooding, mudslides, and of course up in the mountains, we're talking feet of snow. So we look at the Sierra Nevada, the Sierras, I should say, where as that snow and moisture makes its move here towards the state, it gets here by Saturday into Sunday. That's when we start to generate a better chance of seeing some showers. And initially, it'll be a mixture of rain and snow for the valleys and a lot of snow for the mountains. Models showing we could be talking feet of snow as we look here for the northern mountains, looking towards next week. Right now, we're looking at partly cloudy skies here across northern Utah. No activity from radar, and that high pressure is going to build in, strengthen, and remain in place here again for the rest of the work week, which will turn the flow out of the southwest. That'll allow temperatures to warm up. But this storm system, you've been also hearing another term, bomb cyclone. Yeah, you look at that low pressure system, that spin right now, it is impressive. That's what's generating, as you can see, all that activity with the showers and precipitation across northern California up through Washington. Tonight, though, we're going to be looking at partly cloudy skies here across northern Utah, clear as we look towards central and southern Utah. Another chilly night, teens and 20s for many locations. Let's line things up for tomorrow. No issues for your morning commute. It's cold. You're cranking up the heat as temperatures getting up to near 50 degrees here along the Wasatch Front. We'll say again, partly cloudy skies as we'll be looking for highs here along the Wasatch Front in the low 50s, 40s over towards northeastern Utah, 60s in St. George, where for St. George, you're enjoying the 60s and the sunshine up until about Sunday. Then we see a chance of some rain showers as rain will continue on. Yes, this next storm system will be looking at statewide implications here as we look towards the beginning of next week. Now, partly cloudy skies, mostly clear conditions on Friday. There you're warming up near 60 degrees. Saturday, at least for the first half of the day, we're good. Late, we could see that rain and then a mixture of rain and snow on Sunday with more showers into Monday and even snow into Tuesday. So we'll have some valley snow at periods, but again, for the mountains, we're talking a lot of good snow to get those ski resorts open and generating the excitement as we look towards the Thanksgiving holiday.
All right, Breck, thank you so much. Are Utah's air quality regulations too strict? Some state lawmakers are taking a look at oversight and what it means for you. UtahMoneyWatch.com is reporting the Utah Transit Authority has placed a $120 million order to buy 20 new light rail vehicles for TRAX. It's part of its tracks modernization project, upgrade and expand service over the next decade. Utah-based Stadler USA will produce the 20 low-profile tracks cars, with the possibility of 60 more in the next 10 years. This will be the first time Stadler's CityLink cars will be used in the U.S. 800 of them, I should say, have been used in Europe for the past 21 years. Today, members of Utah's LGBTQ community, advocates, and their loved ones held a rally at the Utah State Capitol in advance of Transgender Day of Remembrance. The day honors those who have been killed because of anti-transgender violence. Several Utah groups participated, including Project Rainbow and Black Lives Matter Utah.
We're in a state that over 80% of Utahns support LGBTQ rights, but we're seeing that erode away in recent months and years with the Pew Research polls indicating that there's been a decline in queer support for queer rights. So it's important for us to continue to be visible, for us to continue to organize with diverse voices, and to lift up all voices within our trans and queer communities.
The Salt Lake Tribune reported earlier this year that an estimated 2,100 Utahns between the ages of 13 and 17 and an estimated 13,700 Utah adults identify as transgender. Who should make the rules when it comes to Utah's air quality? That was the question between state lawmakers and those in charge of the Utah Department of Environmental Quality today. Some of the proposals include restrictions on certain types of equipment, two-stroke engines, and newer gasoline standards. But some lawmakers question why the Utah Air Quality Board is imposing regulations instead of elected lawmakers.
May be within the purview and may be necessary for this legislature to review the delegation of those powers and maybe bring some of those back. Not because we're saying anything here is right or wrong. That's certainly not what I'm insinuating here. But we are responsible to those that have elected us here.
Utah's air quality has been under constant federal government scrutiny and has been in and out of attainment of EPA standards. But state leaders say the air quality has been improving. Utah lawmakers are also hopeful the incoming Trump administration will tweak federal standards more in Utah's favor. Coming up, we'll break down the potentially big changes on the horizon for Salt Lake City's Fair Park neighborhood that could make way for a proposed baseball stadium. We're live. Plus, a new design for restrooms in some high schools in the Granite School District, the concerns some parents are raising. A viral YouTube video shows an interaction between a Clearfield police officer and a Special Olympian. Now there could be a lawsuit. And how one southern Utah business played a pivotal role in a burglary suspect getting nabbed by police. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Fox 13 News at 9. The public is weighing in tonight on a proposal to rezone about 93 acres in Salt Lake City for a new development by the Larry H. Miller Group, including a proposed Major League Baseball stadium. Fox 13 News reporter Mythili Gubi was at tonight's public comment period, and she joins us live from the Salt Lake City and County building with what was said. Mythili.
Bob, about 16 people spoke during public comment today, most of them in favor, saying they want to see this area revitalized and that partnering with the Larry H. Miller Group could be a unique opportunity to do so. But those against the proposal say they're worried about displacing the people who live there now and call that area their home. There could be big changes coming to the Fair Park neighborhood in Salt Lake City.
I have been waiting for businesses, dynamic businesses, to move into my neighborhood.
Salt Lake City Council is looking at creating the Jordan River Fair Park District, about 93 acres between I-80 and North Temple on Redwood Road and along the Jordan River for development by the Larry H. Miller Group.
The LHM, they care about Utah. They are from Utah. Larry was from the West Side. They understand how intricately their reputation, they want to do right. So for me, giving them some options that say this conforms to the city's goals and aspirations, and you using your best judgment.
At Tuesday night's City Council public comment, most people spoke in favor of rezoning the area, which includes a new Major League Baseball stadium as well.
This is going to create work for a lot of our members and a lot of the people in this community.
Business chambers also agreed with the rezoning and the West Side Coalition as well.
We're hopeful that this is going to provide an anchor point in which we can have more families move in, live, work, and play on the West Side.
Some neighbors are against it.
Well, the vision is great. The zoning is very, very thin, and it basically just allows anything.
And we already seen a lot of displacement along the North Temple Boulevard, which the TSA zoning, as we can see, has caused a lot of that. And I feel like upscaling this to a rezone to have 400 tall buildings right in the neighborhood, it's really harmful. It's dangerous.
Council wants this project to include high-density, affordable homes to help address the housing crisis.
We want this district to reflect the community.
Under new state legislation, the city and Larry H. Miller Company have to agree to an agreement by the end of this year, a time frame that City Council Chair Victoria Petro says has rushed their process.
This is why I don't love state-imposed deadlines that don't give us time to ask deliberative questions and see real things.
Salt Lake City Council is going to continue this public hearing process, so there are more opportunities to share your opinion before council does take a vote before the state's deadline of December 31st. Live in downtown Salt Lake City, I am Maithili Gobi, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Thank you, Maithili. A new restroom design in 2 Granite District high schools has some parents concerned about safety. It has 2 large entrances leading to individual gender-designed small rooms with toilets. Each room has 1 toilet and floor-to-ceiling doors and walls. The hand washing area is one of the shared spaces and is entirely open to the hallway. The district says it's to help put a stop to bullying and vandalism.
They're ruining sayings, they're graffiti on the wall. There's a lot of bullying, cyberbullying that happens. Even over the weekend, we had an email from a parent saying her child was videotaped in the bathroom, just his shoes, and it was posted on social media just to embarrass the child.
But some parents are raising concerns about boys and girls using the same area to enter the toilet stalls and wash their hands. The district says in addition to these restrooms, there will be a traditional option as well. We, of course, will continue to follow this story. Video of a police incident in Clearfield has gone viral involving a Special Olympics athlete. Some are accusing the officer of being too heavy-handed.
Behind your back then. I'm telling you. Put your hands behind your back. I'm telling you, I've done nothing. I'll do nothing. Give me your hands. Ow.
Police body camera video shows the encounter with Utah Special Olympian Sean Nicholas. Friends tell us he was walking home from a bar at about 3 a.m. last summer. Police say he was in a dimly lit area when an officer stopped him and asked for ID, and he resisted. They say Nicholas was ultimately cited for interference with a police officer or a peace officer. But the officer mistakenly applied the jaywalking statute he initially stopped Nicholas for. They add the officer did not recognize the potential for disability-related behavior, interpreting Nicholas as being intoxicated. Nicholas's friend, Mike Miller, is helping him fight the citation.
Courts have said an officer's hunch is not reasonable suspicion. You have to have a specific, reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime, not just because, like the cop kept telling him in the video, you're being weird. What are you doing? That is not suspicion of a crime. That does not give you carte blanche to creep next to somebody, follow them, harass them.
Clearfield police acknowledge the incident could have been handled differently and may make adjustments to their training based on a review of this case. St. George police have arrested a burglary suspect accused of breaking into 9 self-storage facilities earlier this month. Police say the burglar targeted firearms, electronics, and jewelry. The staff at St. George Storage say last Friday, the burglar tried breaking into units for a second time. They say they had already recorded him previously with their 60 cameras, and they were ready.
It got my adrenaline pumping, that's for sure. There was a suspect pulled over in a white car that matched our description and our video surveillance. And anyways, so I confronted him and was able to get some pictures of him and his license plate. And as soon as I confronted him, he got really defensive and jumped in his car and hurried sped out of the area. And anyways, thankfully to our law enforcement, they was able to catch him within 12 hours. They did awesome.
34-year-old Aaron Maeda Brewer is being held at the Purgatory Jail in Hurricane. Court documents show he was placed on probation in September after pleading guilty to breaking into his mother's home and damaging her iPhone and artwork. Police say Brewer had an ankle monitor on when he was arrested late last week. Coming up, what the TSA wants you to know before you travel for Thanksgiving next week.
And before we go to break, current conditions here along the Wasatch Front. It's going to be a chilly night. We're talking about our next storm system and how that may impact traveling come next week. Those details coming up after the break.
A record number of Americans could be on the move this Thanksgiving. AAA expects nearly 80 million people will travel at least 50 miles over the holiday week. That's 1.7 million more travelers than last year. TSA says the busiest times for traveling at the Salt Lake International Airport is either in the morning from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. or in the afternoon from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. There are 3 new body scanners at the checkpoint to help speed things up.
Latest generation body scanners, and travelers, when they go into this body scanner, instead of putting their hands over their head, will have their hands held at their side. We'll have a TSA officer there to guide travelers to that, so it's a completely different stance than what you're used to doing in the body scanners.
In addition to the new body scanners, they're introducing new facial scanning technology. The security agent will scan the photo of your ID and then compare it to a photo taken in real time at the checkpoint. The American Fork High School Marching Band is back home tonight after taking 8th place at Nationals. The semi-truck carrying their equipment got a police escort on the way back into town. Brian Allen, who has 2 daughters in the band, was behind the wheel.
I've done this 3 times and we finally got into finals, so it was just awesome. We were just glad to be there, and we ended up being number 8.
This dad donates his time for the 3,200-mile round trip. That's about 60 hours on the road.
Will a new ballpark deliver a traffic mess here in Daybreak? I'm John Franke in South Jordan. Coming up, I'll tell you what's being done to make sure this ballpark doesn't lead to gridlock on the roads.
The BYU and Utah football teams playing for different things this week. The Cougars for a conference title and the Utes for fallen teammates. And the Jazz and Lakers playing tonight in the NBA Cup group stage game on a bright yellow court in LA. The highlights are on the way.
In less than 5 months, it'll take you about 30 minutes to get from here in downtown Salt Lake City to here, Daybreak Field via Trax. I'm John Franke in South Jordan. Those Trax upgrades are just one component in the works right now to make sure traffic runs freely and smoothly once this ballpark opens this spring. Workers are busy making sure Daybreak Field is ready for B's opening day in April. And amid the ballpark construction is work on a new track station, one that will deliver riders just steps away from the new destination.
It's on existing track, so it's really just building the station.
I sat down with UTA Executive Director Jay Fox PW ridership increases dramatically for big sporting events. Just listen to these numbers for a typical Utes game.
It tends to average about, depending on the line, anywhere between 40 to over 50%.
In simpler terms, Fox estimates 20% of the people inside Rice-Eccles Stadium for the Utah-BYU game took tracks to get there. The ridership trend made it a no-brainer to put a station near the new ballpark.
Right now, the demand for our transit is incredibly high. We're up 16.5% of ridership this year alone, and we were up around the same number the previous year. We're headed for 40 million customers this year.
Construction to improve traffic flow is also underway. South Jordan City tells me they're working with UDOT and the Larry H. Miller Company to add access points leading directly from Mountain View Corridor into the ballpark's parking lot. And new U-turn lanes for easier access for both northbound and southbound lanes, known as Texas U-turns, will now be called Utah U's. They'll allow drivers making U-turns to do so without going through a light.
Those Utah U's, I guess, as we say, are just something that's been adapted. We've seen in other parts of the country. Essentially what it does, it maximizes or encourages people to use Mountain View Corridor versus the local roads.
The city adds trails will be added to help with pedestrian and bike access. They believe with the public transit and road upgrades, they'll be able to keep people moving once the ballpark opens. In South Jordan, John Franke, Fox 13 News, Utah.
He didn't shoot that story today. That's pretty clear. We had a lot nicer weather than John had to deal with, but it's cold out there.
Well, starting off this morning, maybe for some of us, tracks would have been a better option to travel through some of that lake effect snow, where no issues here for tonight traveling as well as tomorrow morning. We're clearing out. It's cold though. We're in the low 30s. Winds fairly light. We're actually going to be on a warming trend moving ahead. I'm saying this is the window of opportunity to hang up your Christmas lights from now until Saturday. Green light. Once we get past there, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we're bringing in another storm system. Yes, we've been talking about this atmospheric river here, whereas we take a look at future precipitation here throughout the western United States. Yeah, it looks like Northern California is just going to get slammed, both with lots of rain, flooding, potentially mudslides, and a lot of snow up in the mountains. That moisture will make its move here across the state. It gets here late Saturday into Sunday, and as I mentioned, the storm will generate precipitation Sunday, Monday, Tuesday as well. And for St. George, you're going to be getting into the mix. You don't see much rain in the forecast until the weekend, but it's really a focus of Sunday, Monday, with some lingering rain showers on Tuesday. Now, as we turn towards the Wasatch Front, yeah, we're going to get hit. A mixture of rain and snow Saturday into Sunday, then also a chance of some mixture there on Monday with some rain and snow, and then snow heading into Tuesday morning. This will allow snow to continuously fall across the mountains of northern Utah. Significant accumulation expected at the beginning of next week. Good news is that the model's showing that the storms clear out about Wednesday time frame, so traveling Wednesday, Thursday into Friday, we should be good to go. But high pressure, just enjoy it here for the next several days as we're going to be warming things up. The flow turning out of the southwest before we wait the arrival of the storm system, that low pressure system packing in, where it's not going to be a cold storm as we're going to be bringing that moisture in from Northern California. The snow that we get in the mountains will be a little bit more, in higher water content, so a little bit heavier, but it will definitely lay down a nice base there across most of the mountains of northern Utah. Now for tonight, it's mostly clear. Overnight temperatures getting down into mid-20s. Tomorrow, we're seeing temperatures in the 50s, so a quick bump up in temperatures by about 10 degrees here across northern Utah, even seeing some 50s towards west central Utah, 40s though across eastern Utah. St. George, you're enjoying the 60s and warming up into the mid-60s by Friday. I mentioned that rain Saturday with more showers expected Monday and Tuesday. Northern Utah, we're clear of the storms, partly cloudy skies, close to 60 degrees by Friday. Storm hits late Saturday through Sunday. There's your mixture of rain and snow heading into Monday, and then more snow showers expected by Tuesday. So we will get the valleys in the mix with accumulating snow, but a lot again expected for the mountains.
The Jazz are playing their second group play game in the Emirates NBA Cup against the Lakers tonight in LA. The Jazz lost their first NBA Cup game against the Phoenix Suns, so they could use a win tonight. The Lakers are the defending in-season tournament champions, so they got that going for them, which is nice. LeBron James gives it off a give and go, then lays it in. The Lakers jumped out to a 3-8 lead. It's a tough to see on this court, bright yellow, but the Jazz picked it up. Jordan Clarkson fires up and hits the three. Then they work the alley-oop to John Collins, cut the lead to 8. Collins' section then sets up, knocks down the corner three. The Lakers lead it at the half, 57-44. BYU dropped 8 spots to 14th in this week's college football playoff rankings after losing their first game this season. But the Cougars are still in the running to get into the Big 12 championship game with 2 games to play, starting Saturday with a huge matchup against Arizona State. 4 teams are still playing for the Big 12 title. BYU and Colorado at both 6-1, and Arizona State and Iowa State at 5-2. BYU and Arizona State were not expected to be in this position. The Cougars picked 13th in the Big 12 preseason poll, and the Sun Devils were picked last.
We were both not projected to be where we are at right now, and I think that comes with a mentality that is needed to get to where both teams are at.
I think the attitude around the team right now is Arizona State's the only game that matters right now, and it doesn't matter what's after that or what the playoff rankings are or the top 25. None of that matters. All that matters is Arizona State and how we're going to win that game, and that's going to be our focus this week.
Utah will honor the lives of Ty Jordan and Aaron Lowe this Saturday as part of the Senior Day ceremony. It'll be an emotional night for seniors like Makai Bernard and Junior Tafuna, who are the final players at Utah that were teammates with Ty and Aaron before they died.
I'm grateful and I'm humbled, and just because I'm still leaving them breathing, and they're my class. All of us, after this year, no one's going to know who they are. And so, just love them. Grateful for them.
Utah women's basketball has a new head coach. Lynn Roberts has accepted an offer to be the new head coach of the Los Angeles Sparks in the WNBA, starting immediately after leading the Utes since 2015. Assistant coach Gavin Peterson has been named Utah's new head coach. She built the program up pretty strongly, so.
Yeah, well, that's great. Ty Jordan and
last group of players that
Aaron
were teammates.
Lowe.
So.
Yeah, the emotions are still really raw.
Sure are.
They
sure
really,
are.
really are.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jeff. We'll be back in just a moment.
Yeah, this one's for the
Post Malone is kicking off his tour right here in his home state of Utah. He'll perform at Rice Eccles Stadium on April 29th. You can register for pre-sale right now for tickets starting Friday morning. Regular ticket sales begin next Tuesday. The tour will feature Jelly Roll and Sierra Farrell.
He is loyal to his Utah fans.
He is loyal as loyal can be. It's so fun to have him here.
I know.
Isn't it? Isn't that great? Don't you think?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay. So do
Big Posty.
Thanks for being part of Fox 13 News at 9. Quickcast is up next.